Hey creative friends, it's Gwen. I'm back in the studio today for another share that's part of this month's collaboration with Spiegelmom Scraps, and today's share is a card. I thought it'd be a lot of fun to create a easy shaker card, so let's jump right on in. I'm going to be starting with this plain piece of white cardstock and this embossing folder by Darice. And did you see there? I do have the brand new Distress Oxide colour, Lost Shadow. I'm going to be using that in the background of the card. So first things first, I need to trim my cardstock to fit within the embossing folder like so. Next up, I am going to apply the ink over the raised portions of the embossing folder. I do have quite a few colours now in these inks and I love the softness of them. They're really the only inks that I use. If you're looking for a very simple way to store them, be sure to check out this video right here. I'll also leave a link in the description box below. With the ink applied, it's now time to add a little bit of water and place our card into the embossing folder. I'm then going to run everything through my Sizzix machine and you're left with this really lovely imprint of obviously the embossing folder, but the ink as well. The look is very subtle on this card and that's because of my ink color choice. So if you want something that stands out a little bit more, just choose a more vibrant color for your ink. Now I am making a shaker pocket, and to create the shaker I'm actually going to make a frame. So I've used a couple of the thin dies and I'm going to run those through the Sizzix, and here is my frame right here with the idea that it will layer over the top of that embossed piece. To keep the sequins inside the frame, I'm going to be using this pocket page. I like to upcycle these. I bought a bunch of them and turns out I don't do that much pocket scrapbooking, so I am repurposing them and in ways like this. I'm going to use my ATG just to get it in place and then trim around the edge. And in a moment here, I'm going to take it away and stitch around the entire frame to lock it all into position. I love stitching in scrapbooking and all of my card making. It's a really lovely detail to add to your projects. Once that was done, I did notice there was a couple of areas where the stitching did not secure down the plastic part there. So I'm just going to add a little bit of glue. I want to make sure that there are no gaps because the gaps is where the sequins might fall out. Next up, I want to create some space between the frame and the background, and I'm going to use foam tape to do that. I'm starting with the Tabby Pop dots that are in the store to do the corner pieces, and then just some regular foam tape from my stash to do the edges. If you're ever wondering about the supplies I use on my projects, they're all linked in the description box below. I'll also leave there links for all the other sequin inspired papercraft projects that I've done as part of this collaboration. I have all the foam in place. It's time to position it onto the background. I am going to leave that top edge open though because I need a space to add my sequins. You'll see here in a moment that I have essentially created a cute little pocket, so the top part there is open. I did notice at this point that a little bit of that background was showing through from the front, so I'm going to trim that off ever so slightly. I want all of that messy part hidden away. And the sequins that I'm going to be using are called Vintage Garden. Super pretty mix of pinks and like a baby green. It's really, really pretty. I love too that it's got a combination of larger sequins in flower shapes and then some medium and really small sequins. When you are working with a mix like this one, you do have to be mindful about the size of the sequins that you're adding and make sure there's no gaps in your little pocket there where any of those smaller sequins can escape. It's time to add some colour, and I am going to be working with quite an old Pink Fresh Studio collection. This one is called Everyday Musings and I have just a little bit of it left, so cards are perfect for it. I'm going with this really pretty pink geometric design and I'm just going to mount this pocket onto that as part of the card front. And this is the way I build all of my cards. I actually like to create the card fronts very separate to the cards themselves. It allows me to add lots of dimension and lots of element stitching, brads, etc. And then once I have that all sorted, I can then attach it to the card base. It gives a really clean finish as an end result. It's time to find some pretty embellishments to add. I did find a couple of really cute tabs, which I am going to use. One comes from the sticker sheet, this one here, and the other one from the die cut pack. And I did find the perfect floral die cut, this one right here. That shade of pink matches the sequins perfectly. Next up, I need a sentiment, and I did find this one right here. It says one of a kind, and it's super pretty because it is gold foiled. So I really love that I've got the shine of the gold foiling to sort of coordinate with the sparkle of the sequins. I am going to add this one using some 3D foam just to get some more layers happening in the card front. And I am going to position it ever so slightly to the right. At this point, I am being quite aware of not wanting to cover up that beautiful shaker that we've just made. So everything that I'm adding right now, I want it to complement the card and not cover up too much of those pretty details. I really love how well the floral die cut piece fits in there on the right, and I am going to be particular about making sure that that title is nice and straight. I'm using my T-square ruler to do that. And then I am just going to add the floral die cut flat to the card base. Things are getting serious because I am gluing stuff down. I'm using my Nouveau Deluxe adhesive to do that. It is great for gluing paper to paper, but also paper onto like acetate and plasticky things. So it's great for this card. I also found this really sweet little bird from the Puffy sticker sheet. She gets auditioned in a couple of places, but does end up on the top right hand side of the card. I like that she just sort of sits in there. It's an added detail that doesn't cover up those beautiful sequins and background that we made. I can now go ahead and create my card base, and you might have noticed there that I don't really measure. Often I will just use a pencil to mark the spot that I want the cut, or even sometimes just my fingernail. I recently asked you all if you would like to see more card making on the channel, and the resounding answer was yes. So I plan on doing a little bit more of that. There have been a bunch of new subscribers of late, so welcome friends. And if you haven't already subscribed and you want to see more videos just like this one, now's the time to do it. My card base is ready, so I'm going to attach it with some ATG tape as well as a liquid adhesive. I want to make sure that it's on there nice and securely. And of course, I want to share with you some close-up images so you can see all of the details. Thanks so much for being here, my creative friends. If you like the way that I scrapbook or the way that I chat about the way that I scrapbook, I would love it if you give this video a thumbs up. Not sure what to watch next? I'm sure this video right here is sure to inspire. I'll see you all in the next video. Until then, bye!